All right, so you get to meet one of the Supermen who have acted. I mean, throughout time, right? Even the ones that have passed, right? You do. What Superman actor would you want just to hang out with, for whatever reason?
I feel like the generic pick is Christopher Reeve. But Christopher Reeve, even after I love the new Superman movie, I think David Cornsweet, the new Superman, does a fantastic job. But like, there's something about Christopher Reeve. His performance is so timeless, and it's just, I think, the most true to the character that I think it's a pretty much perfect portrayal of the Clark Kent Superman duality, So I would definitely, like, Christopher Reeve would be the one that I would want to meet and stuff like that. I don't even know what I'd talk to him about, but that's, to me, he's the definitive Superman. Like, I've got an action figure of him on my shelf because he's my Superman. I grew up with like Henry Cavill as Superman, but I never liked that portrayal. Like, the really dark and grim Superman doesn't care if he throws the bad guy into a populated city center and kills like 30 people. Christopher Reeve is just that, like, just, again, like I said earlier, he's Superman. He's a good man, and that's what takes precedence over the smashing General Zod into a skyscraper, And I think that might change. Maybe I would say that the new Superman's my favorite, but I think I want to give him a little more time, to be the character. But he's up there too. I think he's fantastic as the character.
Yeah, I didn't really like the Cavill Dark, but because he's such a Warhammer nerd and he loves one of the factions I love, I would probably just talk Warhammer stuff with him. Be like, oh man, talk about Custodians. What do you think? What do you that? Are you going to do that project with them? Like, come on. Like, the fact that he is just such a nerd and he's been on so many interviews and there's a couple ones with other guests and stuff like that. And all of a sudden he'll hear that guy like, oh, Warhammer. He'd be like, what? Huh? Who do you play? What do you do? And like the guests, other guests, and even the host, it's like, you're secondary to the Warhammer right now. But it's like the God Emperor is getting his due. So stop. But I think it'd be him just because it'd be like, okay, how do you paint? What do you do? What do you think? Like, everything like that. Because I think I would love to deep dive nerd with him so much. And maybe I'd ask him about Superman or whatever. But I think it would be more just.
I feel like, that's kind of the opposite of me. I'm like, I don't even know what I talk to about Christopher Reeve. Just be like, damn, you're Superman. But Henry Cavill, he does seem like, from all I've seen some of those interviews too, he seems like he seems like a nice guy who was dealt a pretty bad hand by all of this. Like, like he was back as Superman for like 5 seconds a few years ago, and then he got like canned again. I know they talked recently that James Gunn, like the CEO of DC Studios, about possibly getting him in another DC thing as a different character. I think that'd be great. I think the script failed him a lot in the direction in the last Superman movies he was in. So I think maybe he could do Batman. I don't know. Like, I've seen that floated around recently after that interview came out. He's not my first pick for Batman. I don't even think he's in my top 10, but I wouldn't be like pissed if he was the new Batman in the new series that they're doing.
Well, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be, Dr. Doom, right? Yeah. So
that is so stupid.
I can't see him as anything other than Tony Stark after all these movies. So again, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know every comic book storyline. It has to be clever.
I really hope it's not just like
Cavill. You're right. He could do a Batman. He's only, and like you'd be like, oh, maybe an alternate universe, whatever. People.
Yeah, I think he could do good as a mainline kind of like as a replacement for like Ben Affleck. Oh, sorry, knocked the mic. He could do good as a replacement, I think, for Ben Affleck's Batman as like the main Batman that the moviegoers are going to associate with the connected universe kind of thing. I think he could do well as it. I think he could.
You know what? Nah, I want to see just a brutal villain. Find like an evil comic book character or something. Like, I want to see him where you want to fucking hate him. And just because you're like, he is like Nazi commandant kind of hate where you're like, this. Like, I want to see because I think he could. Like, he could do something
definitely
totally
could.
like
I think
that.
he's a pretty good actor, and I think he could definitely like he was pretty good as an evil Superman. I mean, I didn't want to see evil Superman in any of the movies he was in because I thought it was kind of stupid. I just want Superman. But I think, yeah, if you got him as someone like Lex Luthor's already taken. I don't think he'd fit the Joker very well. That's one I don't think he could. But like even there's some Batman villains. Like there's a villain called Hush that I think he could do pretty well. Just like like someone that he could really lean into, make him just a sadistic, like Deathstroke, or maybe he's one of these characters that has like a vendetta and will stop at nothing, like, until he beats Batman or Superman or whoever. Yeah, I think he could pull through and do a good villain.
A little bit of makeup, character that, you're not just going to see it. So you see that character. Oh yeah. I think I'd like to see him just dark, just that.
He was
a little
great
bit
villain in Mission Impossible when he did that.
That's what I mean. Yeah. But like something where it's just, because he was kind of the henchman of somebody else. Like he was like,
exactly,
he wasn't like really the boss, but like, yeah, something. I think that'd be cool to watch and stuff like that.
I think it would. Yeah, I think he's got the talent, and I hope they give him a shot. One of the big studios, after what's happened to him.
Well, I hope he does go with the Amazon and they do like the Warhammer universe and stuff like cool. that. Because he was talking about that, and then there was different directions and stuff. And the reason why I'd love to like hope something like that goes through is because he's such a purist of the hobby, and he's not gonna let some writer or whatever be like, oh, hey, we're gonna change it so now the Custodes are weak and they get beaten by this. He'd be the kind of guy to be like, no. There's all this lore. You can find a story in it. Keep it pure. Because, I mean, again, that's what the fans want. Fans don't want your interpretation of Batman or your interpretation of this person. There's so much lore for some of these characters, like 70 plus years.
Yeah, like almost 100 years for a lot.
You don't need to find a good story arc. Take a couple, whatever you have to do to try and take an old story and modernize it a little bit and whatnot. And just do that. You have all the reference material needed. You don't have to make the wheel again.
Yeah, I think with like Zack Snyder, with what he did with Superman, like Man of Steel and like Batman versus Superman, like I guess it's like there's been a lot of different comic books and a lot of different versions of these characters. Some of them are more sinister than others, but like for his movies, like that's supposed to be the main line. Like that's the Batman for most people, that's the Batman they're going to associate with, like, with the movies. Like Henry Cavill is Superman. So to have these weird, extra dark and brutal versions of those as like the main line versions of the characters, I think for Superman, it ruined Superman for a while. People are like, Superman is evil and boring. That's why we saw like Homelander, Omni-Man, all of these characters that kind of parroted, or like they went off of the evil Superman kind of trope. Because that was a big thing. And now that Superman is hopeful and like a symbol of like truth, justice, the American way, all that kind of stuff, now I'm glad that we're getting back to like that's who I envision as Superman, someone that's just not everything has to be this dark, realistic, Dark Knight-esque take on like Superman's a stupid character. It's a goofy, stupid. It's not stupid, but it's corny. Superman's not a realistic character. So I think leaning into the zaniness and the kind of over-the-top, corny, but sincere attitude of the character, I think that's going to pay off in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, Superman's always been hopeful. Batman is where you go to play if you want dark and brooding and his parents were murdered and he fights gritty crime and stuff like that. He keeps to a city. He's not, the world's protector kind of stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, but again, that's some of the problem though too with the studios. They give people who have never read the comic, never cared about the characters, like, hey, here's a paycheck. What am I doing? The Flash. Okay, I'm gonna make him with a purple costume. No, sorry, you can't. He's been, this color. These are the schemes he's been with. Well, I've got some vision here, and I think maybe underwater. Well, no, that's more of an aqua. Well, yeah, but I want kind of this underwater thing, and they try and change it and put their stamp on it, and then it doesn't work, and then fans go, "Oh, look what they did! They made this character this. They took away this power. They took away this thing." Or old X-Men where they gave them black leather costumes instead of just.
But this kind of thing,
When people finally saw like Wolverine in Deadpool 3. And I'm not going to lie, when I saw him put on the mask, and it's like,
it's cool.
Fucking finally, after all these movies, all these years, you get to see him in the costume, right?
It's so good that they're getting back to that. Like it's okay to. The Dark Knight, I think, is a great movie, but it perpetuated that attitude that, no one's going to take this seriously unless it's realistic and stuff. It's like, no, it's a guy that dresses up as a bat. It's a guy with knives that comes out of his hands. It's a guy that swings around buildings dressed like a spider. It's goofy. And I think like the Dark Knight movies, the serious tone and the realism worked for those, but it does not work for Superman. It doesn't work for Spider-Man. And I'm glad, like you just said with like Deadpool 3, that I don't like that movie. I don't like it very much, but that's neither here nor there. That kind of stuff, the fact that it's okay to be a comic book movie now, that makes me happy.